Namco. For many of us, Namco brings back plenty of memories of arcade games. Pac-Man, Galaxian, Xevious. Despite your generation, Namco has probably had an impact on you. Today, we are going to go through Namco's journey from start to finish, so buckle up, folks. You're in for a ride. Namco's story starts June 1st, 1955. The company was officially founded, but as Nakamura Seisakusho, appropriately named after Masaya Nakamura, the founder. And believe it or not, Nakamura's first venture in the company was in amusement rides. That's right, games as we know them have not even been conceived yet. But don't worry, because they would definitely get their time. One of Nakamura's first installments was on the roof of a Yokohama department store in Japan. And the rides that Nakamura used were pre-built. This allowed Nakamura to get into the industry without having to produce the rides himself. Now, Nakamura Seisakusho made decent money in this market, but things would change as the company began building its own facility to manufacture rides. At the same time, the company sparked up a deal with Walt Disney. This deal promised rides that were made in Disney's intellectual property. This is when things picked up and gave Nakamura the leeway he needed to expand. After years in the amusement industry, Nakamura noticed that games were starting to grow in popularity. This is when Nakamura released Racer in 1970. Racer, put quite simply, is a racing game. Later in 1972, the company decided to rebrand again as Namco and later acquired Atari's Japan division in 1974. Namco released its first ever arcade game under the Namco brand, GB, in 1978. GB, surprisingly enough, does not contain any bees, other than the promotional content. This came off as a little weird to me, and I honestly had to double check this. I mean, why not play off your title? But yes, this character never appears in the game, nor does anything similar to bees. GB sold about 10,000 units, which was good for Namco's first arcade game. However, GB did not meet company expectations. Toru Iwatani, the creator of GB, set out again to create another game. Unbeknownst to Namco, Iwatani would go on to lead development of the ever so popular Pac-Man franchise and many other great titles. The pure nostalgia of playing Pac-Man is like no other. Iwatani and a team of 9 others set out to create a game that was different from the others in the 80s. Many games at this time depicted more harsh themes, like in the case of Galaxian and Defender. So the creators wanted to make a more lighthearted game that would appeal to a wider audience, which was why the 4 ghosts had bright, vibrant colors. The team found inspiration for the beloved yellow dot from a missing pizza slice. Yes, this was not a rumor. The team did in fact get inspiration from a partially eaten pizza. Talk about a delicious origin story. Thus, Pac-Man was born. The game was originally released in 1980 under the name Pac-Man in Japan. This name was in reference to a Japanese phrase that means to eat something up quickly. Very fitting, might I add. However, the name was officially changed to Pac-Man for the American release. Pac-Man quickly became a massive success and practically synonymous with the Namco brand.
Yellow creature gobbles dots while being pursued through maze by monsters. Believe it or not, those things are really happening on 200 electronic video games here at Chicago Fest. What you see here is part of a national phenomenon that we call high-tech wreck, a phenomenon that had to happen when the TV set married the computer.
Pac-Man became so popular that a song was produced called Pac-Man Fever, not to be confused with the game Pac-Man Fever. With an all-new start, where did Namco go next? Only up. Namco went on to produce more popular titles such as Mappy, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, Xevious, Pole Position 2. I mean, Namco was finding their stride. Namco wanted to try new things, so Namco took their logo, slapped the T on the end, and voila! We have the home console division. Namco was created around 1984 and their focus was creating games for home consoles. Namco ported some of their popular titles to the Famicom, Nintendo's family computer, and the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES. This helped to revive sales on these games. Additionally, a few original games were produced under this subsidiary as well. However, the company was eventually merged with its parent in 1995. So if you find a game with the Namco logo, think of it as a special edition. Also, if you would like to check out these titles, Bandai Namco actually released the Namco Museum Archives, a collection of the games for the Nintendo Switch. Namco is still on a streak. The Namco System 21 was released in 1988, and this was a game changer. Anyway, this system was the first to be able to produce 3D polygons. Nothing similar would appear on the market until Sega released its Sega 1 in 1992. Winning Run, the first game designed for this system, displayed its technical advancement. The system showed that 3D games were possible and that the future was here. The game also had a sort of rumble feature that shook the player as they drove in the game. Ultimately, the game was well received and Namco decided to continue development of 3D games. This would lead Namco to later produce Ridge Racer and the popular fighting game Tekken, which is still a fan favorite today. Now, earlier I mentioned that Namco started in the business of amusement attractions. Well, if you thought that Namco left that industry behind, you would be wrong. Yup, all this time Namco still had dreams of pursuing the amusement industry, which brings us to our next segment. Namco presents Wonder Eggs. Wonder Eggs was opened in 1992. The theme park featured attractions based on Namco's games like Galaxian 3 and Druaga. Galaxian 3 was designed to allow up to 28 players to play simultaneously, each with their own blaster. The park had a few more generic attractions like the Hotel Ghost, which was pretty much a haunted house, and the Magical Illusion, which was your typical mirror maze. Oh, and no park would be complete without a lazy river. Also, for my Tekken fans, this part of the park may look familiar to you. That's because this area of the park was featured in Tekken 3 as Ling Xiaoyu's stage. The park ultimately did well, going on to receive renovations as Wonder Eggs 2 and Wonder Eggs 3 respectively. However, Wonder Eggs was eventually closed on December 31st of 2000. Namco launched Namco Town roughly around the same time. The indoor amusement attraction is still open today. Namco also has a few different stores in Japan, and the company just opened another store in Camden, UK. But Namco Tokyo takes the cake. It is centered around neon lights that create a calm, fun, and chill environment. It gives off the feeling of an arcade joint where you can hang out with friends and have a great time. It features your typical amusement games, a virtual concert, Namco merchandise, and a food bar. It also seems like a great place to have fun and easily joins my list of places to visit. But what goes up must come down. Trouble started to hit for Namco. The company had a 26.3% drop in sales in 1998 alone. The company began restructuring to improve profits. During this restructuring, the company acquired Monolith Soft, a game studio that produced the Xenosaga trilogy, one of my favorite games. They ended up seeking to merge with Square, most famously known for their Final Fantasy series. However, Square felt uneasy about the financial hardships that Namco was facing and ultimately declined the offer. Namco, still looking into mergers, reached out to Sega for their cooperation. However, Sega was already considering another offer at the time from Sammy Corporation. Now it's 2005. Namco is still thinking about a merger, this time with Bandai. Bandai was known for the toys that they produced. Some of their most popular releases are based on hit TV shows like Sailor Moon, Power Rangers, Digimon, and let's not forget that Bandai was responsible for bringing us Tamagotchi. It seems like a great, exceptional deal. Although not everyone was convinced, Nakamura's division advisors felt uneasy about the decision because the two companies had very little in common. Despite the pushback, Nakamura went through with the deal. Once again, Namco find themselves rebranding. The company's new name becomes Bandai Namco. Flashback to 1993, Namco acquired Sunrise Inc. Sunrise is one of Japan's most renowned anime studios that is responsible for Cowboy Bebop, Code Geass, Mobile Suit Gundam. Sidetracking for a little here, but let me tell you about the show Mobile Suit Gundam. The fan base is absolutely astounding. This show has such a huge following that a project was formed to recreate the giant mech that the main character wields in the show. A life-sized moving replica. I was in complete shock. I mean, literally, I was in complete shock as I came across this in my research. This was a 6-year project which did not meet the company's original goal of having the mech walk on its 2 legs, but I would say that this was still a huge feat. Later, Sunrise was merged into Bandai Namco Filmworks. Up until present, Namco has done fairly well and has claimed their position in the gaming industry. So let's wrap up with a little trivia. This game is called Did You Know? In this game, I ask you, did you know something? Simply answer yes or no. Did you get that? Great. You catch on fast. First up, did you know that Bandai Namco helped produce Elden Ring? I know. What? Next question. Did you know that Bandai Namco also had their hands in Little Nightmares? Yeah, that's right. A game that seems quite outside of their scope. Okay, but did you know that Namco is planning to release video games inspired by the popular anime shows Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece, Sword Art Online, and Naruto? Alright, last one. Did you know that Bandai Namco has another anime studio called BN Pictures? I have browsed their titles and I saw quite a few that caught my eye. I definitely want to watch Gintama, mainly because I haven't watched an anime with adult humor, but that concludes our game. I would say that Namco is quite the powerhouse if you ask me. Thank you for coming along this journey with me. It always amazes me how companies start off and where they end up. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and tell me in the comments what topic you would like to see next. Bye guys.